everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Friday night, it's 9 p.m. and we are back here on
How to Ace Your Career.
So, guys, like you all know, we come here every Friday night at 9 p.m. to ensure that we help you with some kind of tips, some strategies, some material that can help you grow in your career. And this is especially meant for mid-age people, people with 12 to 15 plus years of experience, how we can help them ace in their career. That is what we come here and share. And why can I do that? I'm Nuthan, I'm a career coach. I've been coaching individuals for decade, one complete decade now, and I've ensured they've got all kind of results that they've come to me for, whether it was career stagnation, transition, dealing with a toxic culture, stress at work, work-life balance, and how do you really manage and still not compromise on the money that you're making. So these kind of shifts and transitions have really helped them. That is about me. And
Yeah, I'm Dheeraj. I'm a life coach. I'm a business coach. And both of us put together, we create this company, ND Life Coaching.
yes, so today we've again come here to help you, but the aspect that we are dealing with is not only helping you in your professional front, but it's also going to help you on your personal front. I anyways believe that life is holistic and you can't just look at one aspect of life. So career is, if career is getting affected, it of course affects your health, it affects your relationship, and vice versa. That's why when we try and come and explain certain things here, it's always taken into consideration that you have a family, you have a life, you have relations, you have a career, and everything can be taken care. And today's topic, I think, can be no one better as a live example of that topic. That is about how to really control your anger and stay in that calm peace of mind. But before we get there, I would want to tell you, emotions are such an amazing resource. They can literally take you from zero to whatever aspirations that you have in mind. But when we are talking about emotions, we're talking about all the positive emotions like passion, energy, enthusiasm, excitement, love, warmth,
Gratitude.
care. Yes. But generally people, when they say वो थोड़ा emotional है, she's a little emotional, they keep referring to people who are going through low emotional state. And one of them that came up as the highest emotion that people are struggling with came as anger. And why Dheeraj is the best person to really talk about this, let him share his story and then we can go into details.
Oh, okay. So, for I think 23 years of my life, the two emotions I lived, hurt, anger. Anybody said anything, I used to feel bad, I used to feel hurt, and I used to get the only response was anger. To that extent that it was getting in a mode of violence. It was that bad. And then, of course, thanks to my mentor, whom I met 30 years back, and then thanks to my spiritual journey, that from that emotions, the shift that I made, which changed my life completely, is the emotion of gratitude. Because either you can be grateful or you can be angry. There cannot be in between. And I think today's reason why I can speak, because I've been there, and today's been what, 26 years to be precise. I have not experienced hurt. I've not experienced anger. So it's pretty much possible that one can reach. So this topic that we're going to share is what I have already done with myself, from a state of absolute hurt and anger to a state of absolutely love, gratitude, calmness, enthusiasm, excited, energy. So today I think probably 1% of my life I may be experiencing those emotions, but 99% of the time I'm living in this emotion.
Well, and I can vouch for that. I mean, who can vouch for it than your own partner, right? Where I experience him 24 hours a day. And there are times when I tell him, hello, come on, this is what he's done. You should be angry. And he doesn't experience that emotion. That's the kind of transformation that he's gone through. And that's why we are here to discuss how to really control your anger and find inner peace.
Absolutely. To start with, the first thing, in the last 20 years of my business life that I have seen, and the spiritual journey that we both are into, one emotion that is increasing on a very high level is anger. And that is why we thought this is something which we need to, anger seen in professional life, personal life, social life, everywhere we are seeing anger. And anger is turning to that extent that people are actually being physically abusive. So, if we look at the triggers that mostly lead mid-age people to anger, that's what we're going to talk about. They may seem different from men, and for women.
So you would like to speak about your side that is
Oh,
where we
yeah,
differ, right?
I-
So why do men get angry?
I can say that. I can very clearly say that. The most frequent source of anger for men could be first work-related stress, because men are people who are so much engrossed in their work, and when there is a stress or there is a pressure to succeed, to go out and be the number one kind of thing, that's the time there is a possibility one experience anger. Also, we have a society which used to say that man is a provider, and that's why when he's not able to earn money, so whenever there are financial concerns, or he is not able to plan for the future because of the financial constraint he comes into, that's the time we experience anger. Or when we are not able to balance our career, which means I'm not able to fulfill the responsibilities towards my family, towards I'm not able to spend time with my friends and family, that's the time we experience anger. And also, when we do all the hard work and when we are not being appreciated, okay, that is really not easy for us to take. Or when we are disconnected in a relationship, in whatever relationship we are, and we don't experience that connection, these are the four reasons. There are many, but these four I feel are common for us to experience anger. Now let's listen why women they get angry. I think all the females and all the males listen to this.
So guys who are listening to us, it'll be great if you can reflect, if you are able to share which of these reasons are the trigger for you to anger. We would love to hear from you, so that we can give you a solution. For women, most of the times, and especially in their mid-age, right, where they have a family, they have children growing up, they are caregiving to their seniors, whether it is my parents or his parents, so caregiving duties. So I think the first source of anger for a woman could be balancing between the two. I want to grow in my career, but I also have caregiving duties here. If I don't do this, I feel guilty. But if I miss out on this, I feel I'm been left behind. And when I'm juggling between the two and I don't know which way should I go, that dilemma creates anger. Second thing, now when I'm managing between the two and I'm out there at work and I'm wanting to create my space, and when I feel undervalued at work or overlooked as if I don't exist at work, that also becomes a source of anger. Another, of course, is when a woman feels that she's doing everything on her own, all the household responsibilities is mine, and my partner is not supporting me, or there is no support structure at home. It's not about hiring help. We are talking about support system at home, right? Whoever is living with them, whether it's senior citizens in form of parents or in-laws, or it is children who have grown up, or probably your partner, when they feel a lack of support, that could lead for them to become really angry. And finally, while managing all of this, what a woman generally misses is her self-care. And when she cannot go there, she doesn't find that peace, she can't go out and do something that can help her overcome all these challenges and feel emotionally resilient. She's wanting to grow, she's seeking a personal growth, but she doesn't have time. These are the reasons they actually lead her to anger. But like I said, women out there, please let me know out of these four, which one is your reason for a trigger to get angry. Now, though these seem the major reason for a man and a woman to get angry, they are all external causes. Let's try and dive a little deeper and understand what really causes anger.
So fundamentally, anger is a natural emotional response to perceived threat, injustice, or frustration. Several factors that can contribute to feelings of anger, including.
So, Dheeraj, I would really like to point out here is, we have seen so many incidents coming up against women, and men really brutally treating women today in the society. And any kind of a news element, without even knowing whether it is true or not, as a woman, I feel peak of anger against the entire man gender. It does subside, but that perceived sense of injustice, someone has gone through something because a man didn't behave properly. We were seeing something right today also on the LinkedIn. So I feel anger is the first emotional response when that perceived. That's why I wanted to highlight this. When there's a perception that there's some kind of injustice that has happened, or there is a threat to security, that is where anger shows up. Yes, please, you could dilate.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first is psychological triggers. Okay. So as she said, perceived injustice. So when someone feels wrong, betrayed, or treated unfairly, it can lead to anger. Second, frustration. When goals are blocked or situations don't go as per your plan. So naturally, frustration starts building up, and that results into anger.
So, in the morning, I know that this is the time I want to step out of my house. I want my child to be ready. I want my husband to drop the kids to the school. I am rushing because I'm filling up my tiffin. I want to pack up. I want to go and start my car. I don't want to reach the office late because my manager is going to be standing. I have a meeting planned. And my kid is just not responding to that speed. And my husband is saying, okay. Oh my God. I have my client saying that becomes the biggest source of frustration and can result in anger. Then, of course, fear or threat. So, anger often arises when a person feels physically or emotionally threatened. And by default, as a defense mechanism, anger comes in, and that is for us to protect ourselves. You have seen violence, right? So, when you fight that violence, where is that strength that is coming from? It's coming from that source of anger. But that actually comes up when you're experiencing fear of someone really harming you physically, or it could also be emotionally threatened. And then, of course, one more important thing, like you were saying, right? I would experience only two emotions, hurt and anger, hurt and anger. So, hurt is a psychological trigger for anger because you're experiencing that emotional pain. Someone whom you expected to be there in your life has rejected you, or constantly there is criticism happening on you. That is the way, you start feeling vulnerable. All of a sudden, you feel you're so exposed to someone else. And to mask that, you bring out anger as a defense mechanism to overcome that vulnerability in you. So these are psychological triggers. Then, of course, there are environmental factors, work life, the place that we live. What are these environmental factors that trigger anger?
Sorry, but when we talk about environment factors, the first thing, stress. The highest state that people are today. If you ask more, how are you doing? I'm with stress. How is doing? Stress. It was a stressful day. It's so common. So high stress levels can lower a person's tolerance for frustration, making them more prone to anger. Then fatigue. Being tired or overworked can reduce emotional control, making someone more reactive to these triggers. And finally, crowded or noisy environment. This also can make people absolutely feel overwhelmed, and that can contribute to an irritability. So there is no, how do I put it?
So irritation, because I remember that day when we were traveling back, it was raining and there was this traffic and we couldn't move ahead. And there were so many people, they keep honking. You can't move ahead. But that anger, that irritation, and that leads to anger. And then you would pull down your window and you're going to scream at the other person. So that actually leads to anger. So these are, of course, again, external factors in the environment, but you can't avoid them because you exist in that environment.
So true.
And then finally, one more aspect that we need to consider is biological factors. What is this anger all about? So anger basically is a chemistry which is created by the brain to protect us, right? So certain regions of brain play a role in how we process anger. We also know, especially women go through this hormonal imbalance, and that creates those kind of chemicals, that neurotransmission which is happening, and that can influence anger level. The other thing that can happen is sometimes when, like Dheeraj just mentioned, when you're fatigued. So if you're physically not well, you're going through an illness or a chronic pain, and there is something that you want to do and you're not able to do it, by default, you start getting angry either on someone else, or the anger could be self-directed also. And some individuals may be biologically prone to anger based on inherited trait. So at times it's told, right? I'm sure people would have told that about you, that you were born like this, you grew up like this, you always seem to be angry. So kind of a trait which happened right from the birth. So this is about
biological reasons.
Yes,
Let's
and then-
understand social and cultural influences also. For example, upbringing. People raised in an environment where anger was a common response may learn to express emotion in the similar way. Also, cultural norms. Certain cultures might tolerate or even encourage the expression of anger more than others. Okay. Then could be social influences. Media, peer group, social interaction can shape how a person experiences and expresses anger. Now,
So,
yeah.
I remember this because I didn't see this kind of thing happening when we were raised. The family was quite peaceful. There was so much warmth, love, care, physical expression, hugs. This is the environment that we were raised. And when I would really even hear a loud voice, for me, loud voice equal to violence, right? So, upbringing has a huge impact on how do we accept anger as a normal way of reaction,
True.
or we feel that no, this is not acceptable and this is probably not the right way to live. So that also can be a reason of anger, because that is how we have been brought up and it's become an acceptable thing. Now obviously we all know that anger, when we go through this emotion, it has significant impact, negative impact on both career and relationship, affecting everything from performance to emotional connections. So I would like to speak on career, and obviously Dheeraj can speak on relationships.
Yeah.
So career, the first thing that happens is your productivity gets reduced. Why? Because anger can make it harder to focus on tasks, leading to decreased efficiency and performance. It can also cause procrastination. We've been talking about this for a very long time last month. It can lead to procrastination as a emotional energy being drained. So there's one thing that happens when anger is out, goes the energy level, because all the energy that you had got channelized through the brain towards an external or an internal expression, and then you feel deflated. So anger takes away all your energy, and that may become a cause for procrastination. Then of course professional relationships get damaged. Frequent outbursts, negative attitude can strain relationship with colleagues, superior, clients, making collaboration difficult and leading to a toxic work environment. And we've seen these cases on LinkedIn where a boss is screaming and humiliating his subordinates for not being able to do anything. That, of course, is coming from his bad emotional state. Then, when you're angry, you're more likely to take impulsive decisions without fully considering the consequences. So, which means what? You also make poor decisions when you're angry. I don't know if you've seen that. Someone, and angry, and they'll just pick up the car keys and he'll just step out of the house and he'll go there. Believe me, he's driving very rashly at that point of time. And obviously, the decisions that he's making, the talks that he's having, are all going to be in a bad way. So that is what happens with anger. Obviously, when all this is happening, I can't make decisions correctly. My anger is restraining my relationships with my peers, my colleagues, my supervisors, and I'm not performing. What happens? You stagnate in your career. So your growth comes down. You're living in that flat zone. And you may wonder why this is not happening, why company is not considering you for promotion, for career advancement, though you're doing so well as per you. But your managers may perceive that you're a volatile person. And if there are tough situations, you'll not be able to manage. That is why they are not promoting you. And of course, that leads to burnout. So over time, anger contributes to chronic stress, which can lead to burnout, absenteeism, and even health problems. Let's try and understand how does it impact relationships.
Okay, so when it comes to relationship, I feel the first thing what happens is erosion of trust and communication. So when you're angry, one thing is very clear: you're not thinking straight. You're not in the right place. So naturally, there is no proper communication happening, which means anger can actually make an open and constructive communication absolutely difficult. You just can't, because you're not in the right space, you're not thinking correctly, so you're not open, and neither you have constructive which means you don't get the right words. You can't choose the right words because of that emotion, and you just blabber out and things go for a problem.
Absolutely. So if my partner is really lashing out at me, I'll just withdraw because I'm feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
and that causes isolation and breakdown of trust.
Then this whole issue of anger, now there is no trust, there is no communication. What does it increase, which is so high today in the society between husband and wife, or even in colleagues and all that, is emotional distance. That's what we start getting into in relationship. Repeated anger can create an emotional distance between loved ones, may become hesitant to express themselves. नहीं जानते यार वापस झगड़ा हो जाएगा, नहीं जानते यार वो चिढ़ा रहता है. And due to this, they are not able to share their concerns, fearing of only one thing. If I will tell this person something, the only response I'm going to get is a negative reaction. That's an outburst of anger. So that is why there is the emotional distance. Though they are living together, sleeping each other in the same bed, but they are emotionally distant. Then resentment and conflict. Unsolved anger can lead on ongoing resentment, which results into more frequent argument and conflict. And that's a cycle that goes on and on and on. And finally, it damages even whatever relation is left and whatever time you have. It just damages everything. Over time, it ruins everything. Then it also strain on intimacy. One of the biggest factor of a married life or love life is intimacy. But because of anger in personal relations, especially in the romantic ones, anger can diminish emotional and physical intimacy, weakening the bond between partners. And finally, impact on family dynamics. In families, anger can create a stressful environment, affecting not only the immediate relationship with a partner, but also it spreads on to the children, parents, everybody. And that's how it becomes day by day very difficult to live with each other. So basically, managing anger effectively is crucial. You cannot overlook this idea. I did this for many years, but thanks to my mentor, the first thing when he saw me, he said, "You have a lot of anger." But you know what? Anger is energy. If you will use this energy in the right direction, you'll do something great out of life. And that's what I did with my life. So it is crucial that we maintain a very healthy relationship if we want a successful, great career. Now let's look some strategies for managing or challenging anger to benefit both your career and relationships.
So, like we just heard, it damages your career, it's damaging your relationship, and ultimately it's damaging your health.
Yep.
So you don't want to stay there, right? So what's the first thing that you can do to really take care of anger is identify triggers. How can you identify triggers? It's by becoming aware of yourself. Just start by identifying what specifically triggers your anger, both at work and in your personal life. What happens because of that? When you start recognizing patterns, it helps you anticipate, and then you can prepare for these situations. Like I just explained about the woman rushing in the morning and all frustration, and finally she's screaming. But there's times, like I was that day sharing with my client, your kid isn't just first standard. It's okay if the child misses a class. Nothing is going to happen. So, I just told her, do you remember what was the marks you scored in your first standard, fifth standard? Who asked you in the interview that what was your scoring? But, because we want to make all of that right, frustration starts building in. But when I understand that, I know now I can be cool. So I anticipate and I prepare for that situation. And how can I really remember this? It's a beautiful habit of keeping a journal, documenting the situations that make you angry, and then creating some new patterns by recognizing the root causes can be a beautiful way of helping you to come out of anger.
The second thing, practice emotional regulation, which means first, whenever that you feel anger, start doing deep breathing and be mindful, which means when you feel anger rising, take a pause, take a few. These mindful techniques, believe me, it helps you to stay grounded and you can regain control over your emotional response. I know I've experienced anger is a 90-second game. If 90 seconds you can control it by just deep breathing or mindful techniques from year to year and year 90 seconds. But what happens in just span of 5 seconds or 10 seconds, we respond back, and that's why it all comes out. So deep breathing. Second, physiology, physical exercise. So when you exercise regularly, it reduces overall stress levels and provides a healthy outlet for releasing all the frustration that's built up. Third and most important, which I did a lot that time. The moment I knew that I'm getting angry, I used to take a break from that place. So I could just move out, go out, take some fresh air, calm down, and come back. So when you feel over at work or in your relationship, then what you can do when you feel down, that's an anger position that you're coming into, take a brief break to just cool down. Stepping away from the situation can create reactive behavior.
Then of course it's important to use assertive communication. What does it mean? It means learning to express yourself calmly. Now, in both in your relation and career, it's very important to state your needs. So, like we said, that when you feel suppressed, when someone is suppressing you, then that is where you want to just go out and give that emotional outburst. But you know what? That may be just your perception. It may not be the truth, the way that person is behaving. So instead of doing this, you can just, that, this is how you behave. And when you do this, this is what happens to me. Just say, I feel threatened. I feel frustrated when these deadlines are not met. I feel frustrated when, morning, this is what is happening. Can you help me with this? When I try and express myself calmly, believe me, you will find people responding to your frustrations and help you overcome that. Second thing is really listening actively. Many a times when there's a tone of voice which is not right, you just stop listening. And when you don't listen in conversations, by default, there is so much of unhappiness, and that leads to anger for you and for that other person.
You can also do the fourth thing is you can reframe your perspective, and that's what I did. Cognitive restructuring, which means challenge the negative thoughts that fuel that your anger. Ask yourself, is it really worth giving my energy out there? So reframing situations helps to reduce the intensify of your emotional and all the reactions that you go.
So, for example, something has occurred. Now I feel that probably I was betrayed, or probably I was not given that importance, or probably that person didn't feel that, I'm required in this. All this could be my perception. And when that happens and I'm really fuming from within, I just need to think, is it the right thing? Did I feel the right emotion?
Yeah.
Was it this interpretation of something else? Could it be that person was so bothered and was so intense at that such time, and I happened to be there and I felt that emotional reaction?
So true.
So it's really important
So
to
true.
reframe those situations calmly and try and understand, why did I feel like that and why did I lose my calm?
In fact, one of the things that I've been doing for all these years, giving the meaning to any situation, any environment, any event, which will help me empower, not disempower. So focus on solution. Shift your attention from what went wrong to how you can solve the problem. This turns frustration into constructive action, boosting productivity, and it really improves your relationship.
And then, of course, setting healthy boundaries. So each one of us knows to know, this is my limit. This is what I can work. This is what I can do. Beyond this, if it happens, I will not be able to deal with it. And it's better to learn to say no. This is what I cannot do. You have to learn to put your foot down, and you should be ready to face those consequences. It's okay if you walk out of a job if it's not helping you, because your health is your priority. Your life is very, very crucial, much more than any job in any company at any level. So remember, you can always walk out, right? So it's important that you remember that this is my boundary. Beyond this, I cannot deliver. And if that happens, and if I've pushed beyond this, I will walk out from that job, that relation, anything. But I will not reach that stage where I'm constantly going through that emotional outburst.
You can also build empathy and compassion, which means put yourself into others' shoes. In moments of anger, try to understand the other person's perspective. This can diffuse emotional tension and lead to more constructive interaction. So, for example, when I hear people saying, I'm listening to their voice, because we have only two voices. Is a voice of fear, or there's a voice of love. So the moment I see there is a voice of fear, I understand where that person. And then the most important thing which I did myself, practice gratitude. The moment you're getting angry, start reflecting of all the things that you have with you. Feel grateful, because when you feel grateful, the kind of chemical that releases, it makes you feel amazing. It keeps you appreciative more, and that is how you reduce your anger. And of course,
Taking care of yourself.
yes.
So first thing that you need to do is manage your stress levels. So ensure that you get proper sleep. When you're exhausted, don't push yourself. Use some relaxation techniques. Like for example, now we are going through these workshops which are happening in the night, and we are again waking up in the morning and we are delivering. But you know what? We have these techniques where we go through meditation, we go out and do our exercise. This kind of lifestyle helps us to take care of ourselves. The other thing that you can do if you constantly experience anger is reach out for help. Whether it's a coach or a therapist,
Absolutely.
you need to go there out and figure out how you can manage your emotions effectively, because that coach or that therapist can probably give you the right perspective which you're
So
not being
true.
able to see. Now, this is about anger, but there are many such emotions that we experience and we don't know how to deal with it. And that is why, friends, Mind LinkedIn Connection and family, we've come up with a workshop which is going to help you how to overcome these negative emotions.
Yes.
How can you master your emotions in just 5 simple steps so that you can grow in your career and your relationship?
So true.
And if you're interested in that workshop, you can write to us. We can send you the link and we will see you on the other side. That's happening in just 15 days from now. So don't miss that chance. If you're experiencing these emotions, if it is affecting your career and relationship, then reach out to us. If you know someone who's experiencing things, tell them about this so that we can help them overcome these emotions and lead a wonderful and a happy and an amazing life.
So thank you very much for you, and see you again.